Good evening, y'all. Welcome to the Spiritual Speakeasy, where the bar is always open and the spirits are always served. Tonight, it's my first night back after a couple months of doing some reruns, and then there was Easter Sunday. I have been very busy in the paranormal circuit, as well as dealing with some kidney stones and some other things. So chose to just kind of go off the air for a while, but we are back, and we're back at 7 p.m. now. I've moved the time to 7 because 6 o'clock is dinner time, and it's really hard to be here at 6 p.m. when you're trying to finish dishes or get dinner for your family. So I thought I would move it ahead an hour and we'd try this out. I want to welcome everybody who's here, who's on. Tonight, I wanted to talk about dark and light, or light and dark, whichever you choose to say first, constructs, which would be your heaven and hell in Christian religion and other things like that. So I thought I would have a discussion about that. And of course, if there's any questions and I need to turn my comments on, I guess that would probably be a good thing to do. Look at that. There we go. Comments are on. Welcome, 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 welcome. You've not missed anything if you're just now joining us tonight. We're talking about light and dark constructs, which would be your heaven and hell in Christianity and several other types of religions. One of the things I wanted to say is this is not going to be pretty spirituality tonight. I don't do pretty, and those of you guys that know me and have been along for the ride this whole time know that I don't do pretty spirituality. I do pretty cut and dry, pretty blunt, and I work more towards dark. Hello, how are you? I'm going to call you Tyler. How are you, Tyler? Thank you for joining me. So pour a drink. This is the Spiritual Speakeasy. Pour a drink, light a smoke, settle in. It's going to be an hour of some interesting dialogue. Tonight, we're not doing pretty spirituality. Tonight, we are not doing love and light. We're not going to embrace your inner darkness or do actual shadow work tonight either. That's not what we're doing tonight. We're going to do truth. And I'm going to tell you the truth from doing a lot of research on things and also from my own perspective, because I do tend to work more dark than light. Everyone talks about light and dark like they're moral choices. I'm a light worker. I'm a spirit worker. I only work with heaven. I only work with the angels. I only work with this. I only work with that. Well, if you research angels are not all light. They were pretty grim. They did a lot of bad shit, quite frankly. And that's how that is. And when you go through history, the darkness wasn't always the dark. It was, the bringer of light, the knowledge. So when you look at that kind of thing, it's not a moral choice. Light and dark is not a moral choice. They are constructs. They are truly constructs. They are operating systems. So when you think of an operating system, it's an energetic system that we work in. And most people are dressed in one, and it's who they are convinced they are. I'm a light worker. That's who I am. I am light. But then what about their shadows? What about the dark work? So you're saying you don't have a dark side. You're saying you're not interested in that, because there has to be a balance, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. Too much light and you become polished. You become controlled. You become acceptable. And that's what people want. People want to be accepted, right? And so they choose light. Hang on a second. I've got people texting in. Hang on. I'm working on 3 different systems here. Okay. So when we're looking at that, too much light, you're polished, you're controlled. Like I said, it's acceptable, right? Too much dark, you become raw, you become impulsive, you become untouchable. We have the jokes, right? The dark side always has cookies. They've got better cookies than the light. Well, they kind of do, but that's beside the point. Both, what happens if you're working both sides? Well, you're balanced, right? Both will strip you down until there's nothing left of you to make the decisions. Too much of anything is not a good thing. And challenge me if you think I'm wrong. Send me in a send me in a comment or, a text and let me know what you think about that. But to me, too much of anything goes way too far. So let's take the mask off and actually talk about this, okay? That's what I want to do. The light concept or the light construct, heaven, if you will, the angels, the pure, the pearlescence, right? I'm working the light. I only work with guardian angels and those being in God, right? And those beings who are divine, that have that upper level divinity, the upper level vibration, if you will. It's seductive. It's just as seductive as the dark. It's the perfume of control. Okay? Light is seductive. Is it? Not because it's pure, because it feels safe. Because people who often, too much luck. Explain what you mean, Sir Classic, too much luck. I'm interested in your comment. It feels safe, right? Because if you're working with angels, what can go wrong? If you're working with God, what can go wrong? It's structured. It's very clean. It's predictable. The light says, oh, follow the rules. Be good. Be consistent. Be controlled. And people wear it like silk. Look, I'm good. I'm pure. I'm soft. I'm elegant. I'm refined. But underneath, light is control. It's discipline. It's identity. It's boundaries. It's also suppression. And it's very performance-based. But be honest. Those people, a lot of people, not speaking of everyone I'm generalizing now, a lot of people who are light workers think that they're very stable. They're just very tightly managed under the guides of control. They follow the religion, they follow the rules of their religion, and they believe in that. And that is controlling them. If they did not have those constraints and those guidelines, they would lose their crap. Literally, they would not be able to fall in line with society. So it's something that the construct is made to keep society together as well as to keep people in line. Too much light and something starts to die. Not visibly, but very quietly. Desires fade. Instinct dulls. You stop wanting things you can't justify. Now, I'm not talking about losing control and, going to the far side of pleasure and losing yourself in materialism and things like that. That's, again, the far side. Everything has to be contained and managed within ourselves. But we have to have desires for things. You have to have a motivation to do things. It shouldn't control your world, but you have to have that. And as desires fade and instinct dulls, you become acceptable by whatever society you live in's norms, right? And that's the problem. You become acceptable, and sometimes you lose yourself in that acceptability. You're no longer alive in the way that matters. There's not that vibrance. There's not that need to seek more information, to learn more. You're wearing the construct of light, and it's calling you. And it's calling you. When you look at the dark construct, the smoke, the desire, let's step into that room for a second. When we step into that room, the lights dim, and the music is lowered, and the breath is a little softer. Dark doesn't ask permission. It doesn't follow all the rules. It moves. It flows. Dark says, I want, I take, I feel, I go. It's not evil. It's not evil at all. It's primal. It's a hunger. It can be a sexuality. It can be aggression in some ways. And we teach temperament or temperance, right? Temperance is important, but you can have temperance within the dark too, the control of yourself within those, because it's up to us to control that energy flow. It's immediacy, and it's a raw presence. It feels very powerful because it is. So when we say the dark side has cookies, that's what we're talking about, right? You have all the goods, the wants, the desires. It's magnetic. It pulls. It burns. It makes you feel like you've stepped out of a cage or a box. But here's the part that nobody says out loud. If you don't control the dark, it will control you. Because it has momentum. You'll start calling impulses truth. You'll start calling reactions authentic. You'll start calling chaos freedom. And now you're not powerful. Now you're filtered. I said that backwards. Now you're not powerful. You are unfiltered. Sorry, got my words mixed up there. Time for a drink. And unfiltered is also not good. Why do people fall into this state? Why do people go one way or the other with this? Because nobody really chooses this cleanly. People think they choose it cleanly, but they really don't choose it cleanly. They fall into it. Light comes from fear. Not knowledge, but fear. The choice, the clear choice. Fear of losing control. Fear of being rejected. Fear of not being enough. So you build a structure. Tight, clean, controlled. Dark comes from suppression. From being too controlled for too long, for not feeling anything and the desire to feel at least something, for wanting something real. So you drop into instinct, into sensation, into something that finally feels alive and gives you that energy and that adrenaline that you were looking for all along. So let me say this cleanly. I don't think that people choose light or dark. They choose relief. And whichever side that side falls on, that's the side they go to. I do believe they're choosing relief. They're choosing a relief from the fear or the illusion that they really aren't in control. The illusion is really, though, the both sides are lying to you. My opinion, and again, challenge me if you think I'm wrong. Like, please come on and challenge me. My camera's screwed up there. Light tells you if you follow the rules, you're in control. No. You're just being controlled by something that looks cleaner. Dark tells you if you follow your instincts, you're free. No. You're just reacting faster. Both feel super powerful, right? We get power off of both of them, and neither is. People aren't running their own lives. They're just obedient. They're obedient to structure. They're obedient to impulse. So pick your poison. Which do you choose? Do you choose to be obedient? Because if you're choosing a light or dark, you're choosing obedience. If you're choosing structure or impulse, you're picking a poison either way. So the consequences, what it's going to cost you. What is this going to cost you? Let's strip it down. Too much light. If you have too much light, you might become really quiet, predictable. Empty in places you won't talk about with other people. You look good. You function well. But nothing in you is dangerous anymore. Nothing. And you say, well, what is danger? Okay, what is this danger? There is no fire. There is no drive. You're not taking any chances. And think about even knowledge, opening a book up that you dare to read, listening to someone else's opinion when it's not yours, and sitting there and giving them the honesty and the rawness in your time to listen to their opinion. And what the hell? What if you're wrong and they're right? That's a huge chance, right? That's a great chance that you're taking. That's dangerous. Knowledge can be dangerous. But you have to have that fire to do that. And if you're not dangerous anymore and you want to stay conformed and you want to stay within those lines, then you're light, right? But too much darkness and you'll become chaotic. You'll become reactive instead of responsive. Unstable in ways that feel super exciting because you're chasing that adrenaline rush, you think, until they're not. You feel everything, absolutely everything around you, you feel. And you can't hold anything. And without structure, you burn out super, super fast. So now you see it. You see both sides of that. Both sides are taking something from you. Both sides. So how do you work this out? How do you integrate? Because we talk about integrating your shadow self, and we talk about integrating the whole process, self-integration and good with the bad, light with the dark, right? And I don't like to think of light and dark as good and bad. But again, that's the constructs we're working with, right? There is this, when you start integrating that edge, that's where a lot of people tap out. Because it requires control. It can't control you. You have to control it. You have to moderate it. There has to be an active part. You have to take part in it actively. And this is where people do. They walk away from it, or they just label themselves and they stick with the label. You don't choose light. You don't choose dark. You wear both. And really, to be balanced, you have to have both. You have to be able to understand that there are both, like silk and steel. Think of the courtesans and the beautiful silk they wore and the blades they wore underneath. You wear both. You feel the urge, but you don't act on it immediately. That's where temperance comes in. Using your virtues with both sides is where all of this comes in. The knowledge to know when to take a step back and when to review, when to hold your tongue, when to move forward, when to act, not react, but actually act. You don't act immediately on anything. You maintain your own structure, your own ruler, your own guidelines, your own boundaries, not set by other people, but set internally by yourself. You don't suffocate yourself with it. You step into it intensely. You learn everything that you can learn because knowledge is power. And you don't lose your name inside of it. That's power. So when you're talking about light and dark, we have to think about, if you can't control your darkness, it will own you. If you can't access it, you will never truly be alive. It's not about good and evil. It never has been about good and evil. It is about command and having the knowledge and the ability to command your own actions and to be responsible for your own thoughts, your own actions and reactions, and where you're working within the lines. And most people don't have that kind of control. So when people come to me and they say, hey, I want to work with the dark, well, that's great, but you can't even manage your trauma. You can't even manage your own issues. You can't put boundaries on other people. If you can't do those things, you shouldn't be working with the dark. But should you be working with the light as well? Or are you a person that needs to be managed and controlled? Remember, both of them, the constructs that we have been taught are lies. So when you look at it from that standpoint, you have to look at the constraints and the rules and why you're following what you're following. And the biggest thing I can tell people is, you have to know yourself, and you have to know why it is that you do the things you do. And if you're still here and you're still listening with me and you're still following what I'm saying, then you're closer than a whole lot of people, because a lot of people I've lost already. A lot of people don't want to know about themselves. They truly do not want to know about themselves. And if you challenge their constructs, they get very icky. It makes them feel very nauseous. It's like, oh, no, I'm light. No, you're too dark for me. I can control what I am. If I can't control it, I shouldn't be in it. You have to know yourself, and you have to know where you're headed. And at one point in time or the other, I feel like we've all lost ourselves at one point in time, or we've all been through something that was traumatic enough that maybe we started questioning who we are and what we're doing. And I think when we start questioning who we are and what we're doing, that's not a bad thing. That's when we start being enlightened. To me, that's when the learning period really starts, the grace within ourselves. And once you start to know yourself, then you can start to know other people. Sometimes we do things because we think, oh, it's going to give us power, it's going to give us image, or it's great, it's going to give us, we're buying into that whole essence of attention and gratification, immediate. And then that's letting the dark use us, as opposed to working with the shadows and understanding and knowing what is out there. So when you know where you've been and why you've been where you've been and why you're doing the things that you're doing, and you start recognizing those patterns, because the patterns are the first things that we should know. Why is it that you go to this? Why is it that you refer to that? Why is it that you're walking through the path that you're walking? Is it because it's safe? Is it because it makes you feel safe? Because is it really safe? Anything in excess is not safe. So if you're the light and you're walking through that, that is unsafe. If you have no idea why you're doing it, you need to understand. And that's within any religion, any spirituality. You have to know why it is you're doing what you're doing. And why are you drawn to that? Ask yourself, why are you drawn to that? Why is it that I behave a certain way? Introspection is huge. Is it because I want to fit into a construct? Is it because I want to fit into a group? And why is there a need to fit in? Is it because I don't know myself? Because now you've lost yourself within that group, and it does no good to be in a group and lose yourself within the group and think you're going to find yourself. Look into the value systems, look into your virtue systems, your temperance, your love, your gratitude. Look into those things and see where you fall. Because again, there's the light and the dark. And most people aren't in the light for the reasons they should be in. And most people aren't in the dark for the reasons that they are or should be. And the level of control that they're having on each side is very minimum. And it in turn is controlling them. Or the constraints of the light and dark are controlling them, which again is fear related, and it makes people feel safe. But it's an illusion of feeling safe. It is not really feeling safe. You just think you're safe. It's smoke and mirrors. And I welcome any comments that anybody wants to give. Please type them in. I won't read your name out loud if you don't want me to, but I'm interested in what other people think about that. Because So many times I've had readers and I have metaphysical workers that'll say to me, oh, I only work with the light. I only work with the angels. There were quite a few angels that went dark because of knowledge and because of constraints. And so I'm just curious to know what people think about that. Let me know if you're on. If you're light, type in a 1. If you're dark, type in a 2. And then I'm going to ask why you feel that way. I'm just curious. Giving everybody a little bit of time. Just a 1 or a 2. So, some of the comments that I'm getting are and I'm watching other medias, I consider myself more dark. I don't like the rules that people play by in the light. I don't like the understandings of the light. And the vibration is great. It's upper level vibration, and I work in that as well. I think that the hypocritical thoughts and belief systems of both really destroy the constructs for me, if that makes any sense. It seems like I'm rambling. I really think that both sides present with such an illusion as to what they really are that it's a turnoff for me. And when I tell people I work more in the dark than I do the light, people are like, yeah, you're really dark. I get that. No, I'm not. I do a lot of very positive things, and I do a lot of positive work. I don't know. The belief system is what gets me every time. And I know a lot of people who are very, very strong light workers that control that. And I'm all for them. I'm not talking about the people who work that. Here's an interview. Hi, I'd like to think I'm light, but who am I fooling? I'm really in a gray area, right? Right. So it is gray. And to me, the gray is the blend. I know they say there is no gray area, but to me, the gray, if you claim to be gray, that really is a blend, right? That's the moderation and understanding that at any given time, you can go either way and you're okay with that, right? And I think that's where it gets down to the interesting part. Like, yeah, there is a gray area. And again, when you leave the moral aspect of it alone, then you're fine, because people want to say it's a moral issue, good and bad, light and dark. And it has nothing to do with morality. It has everything to do with a construct. And so the gray area would be that area where you're able to go back and forth between the two and understand, the difference. Because, as I talked about before, I'm trying to find it in my notes real quick. Both sides, the way we're taught, are lies. They're constructs put in maybe by a church system or by a school system or by parents or legal system. What we're told, again, for the people that are just joining, what we're told is, this is the illusion. This isn't the truth. The illusion is the light says, if you follow the rules, you're in control. No, you're just controlled by somebody or something that looks cleaner. That's all. The dark says if you follow your instincts, you're free. No, you're just reacting faster. I don't like to react. I've spent more than half my life reacting until recently. And temperament and temperance is really a big thing with me right now. I don't want to be in a position where I react. I want to be in a position where I can thoughtfully respond, because there's more than one solution and more than one answer and more than one thought process out there. So both feel powerful. The people who are on the light, they feel very powerful in that. And the people who are on the dark side, I'm very powerful in my dark side, but you're not the ones running your life. It's everybody around you that's put those constraints on you that is running your life. Until you know yourself and you've thought through yourself and you have that knowledge of who and what you are and why you react the way you do and why you do what it is that you do, everybody's in control but you. Or they think they're in control and they're not even in control. So who really is in control? That's a good question. Who really is in control? Otherwise, we're just obedient, structured people. Or we're running amok and we are very impulsive. And both of them, again, are poisons. Both of those constraints are poison. Too much of anything is a bad thing. Too much light and you're quiet, predictable, and you can be empty. You look good. You might look good sitting in your church pew. Public thinks you're great. You function good. But you're not making any steps to challenge yourself. Where's the challenge in that? It's mundane. You're not questioning anything anymore. We should question everything. You should learn about everything. But you've lost that dangerous edge where you question. You question society. You question what you're reading. You question the media. You question things and learn more about things. Too much darkness, and you become very chaotic, reactive, and unstable. And you think that's excitement and you think that's adrenaline, but it really isn't. You're out of control and you burn out. And so both sides are draining. Both sides are draining. I think, being gray, wearing both, and having an understanding of where you are is perfect. You may have an urge. We're humans. We have an urge, but you don't act on it immediately. Where is it coming from? Where is this going to lead? Is this excessive? You hold structure, but you don't have to suffocate yourself in a box with the structure. Structure is good. Structure is amazing. You can get a lot of things done with structure, but some people structure themselves to the point where they never accomplish anything or learn anything new or push themselves any further because they're so structured. When you no longer suffocate yourself and you have enough danger that you're not afraid to learn something new or listen to something new or hear another person's opinion because it might become yours and you might change your mind, then you really have control of yourself and what's going on around you. That isn't good. That's not evil. It's about commanding your own life and commanding the energy that's around you. And I think a lot of times the darkness, we associate the darkness with freedom. And you think, this is super, super fucking exciting. And I'm going to run with this shit. And you do, and you get swept up in it. And you get swept up in the adrenaline. And now you've lost yourself there as well. Because there has to be some level of control, but it can't come from a system. It has to come from within yourself. You have to build that control, those passions, to subdue your own passions. Passion is good, but not when you lose yourself in it. Wild abandonment never accomplishes anything. And so it may give you the feeling that, oh my gosh, this is exciting and there's so much raw power and it's primal. What have you lost of yourself in that? And are you truly yourself now, or are you functioning as something else because now it has control and you do not? And so, again, food for thought on that. What construct are you wearing? Are you the one that's actually choosing it? Or are the people around you? Or is the media? Or is it your family that's choosing it? Think about that. It's an interesting thought process. It's very interesting. Makes you more aware of what it is you're actually doing and why you're doing it and where are you going with it, because that has to be asked as well. Where are you going with that? Because if you're running amok and you're chasing adrenaline, you're not in control. And the whole thing about control is that you need to be in control of yourself. It's not up to a system to be controlling you. It's not up to a construct or rules to be controlling you. It should be you internally being able to monitor and better yourself. And both sides think they're doing that when really they're not controlling themselves at all. They're being controlled by the construct, which was kind of my point with the whole thing. Food for thought. Food for thought. Again, I'm on for another almost 20 minutes. So type in. One comment was, like I said, they like to think they're light, but they're probably more gray. I think a lot of us function in the gray area, so that we have that control. But I know a lot of people who function completely in the dark and have no control. And then a lot of light workers who think that they're very God-based and very, heaven, Jesus, and angels based, and they have no control there either. So, it's kind of you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, because if you don't have the control, then you've kind of lost the whole point of everything. So with that being said, I want to jump to a couple other things tonight. We have some amazing things coming up. Of course, this is the Spiritual Speakeasy, where the bar is always open and the spirits are always served. I'm part of Supernatural Inc. LLC, their YouTube and their network. And I want to give a shout out to them. I also want to give a shout out to Paranormal Task Force X. This Saturday, the 18th, we have an investigation in Potosi. It is selling out. The weather may be a little crappy, but it's going to be super, super, super cool. And you probably want to get some tickets for that, because it is a really, really neat area that we're going to be investigating in. And Paranormal Task Force does provide equipment. If you do not have any, it is free of charge. It's a lot of fun. You can check out the equipment for no cost, and you can investigate. So you don't have to have equipment. It can be a first-time investigator. You, not it. You can be a first-time investigator, and it's a lot of fun, and you just should come check us out. It's a lot of fun. Potosi is an amazing place. I've been there once. It is a lot of walking. Put some muck boots on and come along with us. But it's super cool. We've got a general store. There's some houses. There's a museum. There's a cemetery that is absolutely wild. So it's really fun. And it's a good time for all of us. So, just grab an umbrella or put on a rain poncho and grab your gear and come out and see us. And sorry, I'm vacillating because I can't really see the screen without my glasses, and then really can't see the screen with my glasses. I'm kind of in that in between. So that's what I've got going on. I also have some really cool stuff going on with Central Kansas Paracon, and it is going to be in September. So if you look up Central Kansas Paracon on Facebook, I am one of the guest speakers there, and I'm going to be talking about all kinds of things. I've got to read what I'm going to be talking about. You've never been, Church. It sounds really awesome. Oh my gosh, you need to come investigate. It is so much fun. For real. It is fun. It's, even on a bad night where things aren't super hopping, it's fun. It's exciting. But there's never a place. Thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of fun. We go and you get to use electronic devices, and you get to hear things speak to you, and you get to see different types of things that we do in the paranormal field that you see on TV. I am big on my teams. I take people through and I have them do the human pendulum, where we put a person in the middle and a person on each side of them. And I have them ground, and then they move back and forth with the yes, no answers, which is a whole lot of fun. And everybody feels it. It's super cool. We use ITC devices, which are like M-Calms and spirit boxes. We use divining rods. We do Estes experiments where you put somebody in a blindfold and a headset, and so you're completely dulled sense-wise with your vision and your hearing, and you become very aware of what's around you. And then we use ITC devices to communicate. And we also put music boxes and lighting up things. So you get a lot of neat things like that too, a lot of contact, things touching, not necessarily you, but the lights. We do yes, no with flashlights. We have cat balls, the little balls that cats bat around that light up. They can be triggered. We have Boo Bears, which are like light up teddy bears and animals that things can play with and touch. We run conversations. So if you go to Paranormal Task Force XPTFX on Facebook, you will see some really cool footage of things that we've done in different houses, and you'll get to hear the responses, which is super, super cool. Can't make that shit up. We use reverse play boxes. So the old adage, like where you take a record and you spin it backwards and there's a message. KD has a reverse play box. So it actually takes in what's being said electronically in the spirit world and it reports it backwards. And you end up with full sentences in communication. I was using his box once in a client's home when I was cleaning the client and was commanding something to leave. And I commanded in the name of Jesus Christ that it leave the room or leave her house. And it came out, Jesus Christ is a fucking liar. And it was clear as day, and it came out, that was backwards. So you're not getting radio frequencies and you're not making that shit up when something like that comes out. So it's really spectacular. So I think tickets are $50 for that, which is super fucking cheap. And it's an all evening event. It starts at I don't know what time it starts at. I'm terrible with those things. 6 or 7 in the evening and goes till 3 in the morning. So it's a late night. Hot damn. Yeah, you should come out. It's a lot of fun. Potosi isn't that far away, and it's going to be really cool. So that's going on. Central Kansas Paracon. I was going to get back to that. I am talking about, hang on. It says, because I never know. I have several things I'm speaking at. I'm an intuitive and experienced paranormal investigator who connects with the unseen and explores the unknown with a raw, authentic approach. I guess that's what I'm talking about. Yay, look at that. But that's my, there's my picture, and there's my ad for Central Kansas Paracon in September. So you want to get your tickets to that. There's going to be hella good speakers there. Hella good speakers. It is going to be exciting. That's going to be super cool. Also, probably I've got a, let me see what else I got coming on. Let me get on my calendar that just disappeared. Where'd my calendar go? So that I can let people know where we're going to be. So we've got Potosi. That's coming up. That's going to be super cool. Chris and I are going to be doing the Unholy Trinity tour in May. We're not leading the tour. We actually just bought tickets for that tour. But if you want to come out and see us and work with us, you're welcome to join our team for that. That is going to be, what is that going to be? Malvern Manor, McIntyre Villa, and Sleeper Mortuary. So we're going to be doing those 3 things 3 nights in a row, which means, you're investigating to 3 or 4 in the morning every night, and you're getting up and doing it again the next night. That's going to be super cool. We have Pythian Castle. So if you're local, Jeff City, Holt Summit, around central Missouri, Springfield is Pythian Castle. That is on the 30th of May. That is going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Brandon, how are you? Hey, shout out to Brandon. That's going to be super cool. It's a super fun place. I had the best time at Pythian Castle the last time. I was between the first and second floor behind the stage. And oh my God, shout out to the spirits that connected. We had a great time. Our ticket holders were extremely happy because they got to see a whole lot of stuff that they wouldn't have gotten to see, because some of the spirits that I work with showed up, and then I had a couple demons pop in and say hi, and there was like a lot of activity, and they're like, we're going to talk again. We're going to talk. I'm going to say it again. Hot damn. Those sound like amazing times. Yes, you should come out and see us. Come out and see us. See, I don't have anything in June. Maybe I do and I don't know it. It's always a possibility too. Like sometimes I forget to put things on my calendar. Central Kansas Paracon is the 25th, 26th and 27th maybe of September, for sure the 26th. I have Rock Island Paracon on the 3rd. That's in Rock Island, Illinois. We will be setting up and have a booth there. That's going to be super exciting. I have Pythian Castle again on November 7th, just for your calendar's sake. And that's where I'm at. And I'm sure I have some other events because I just haven't put them on my calendar because I've been kind of lazy. And kidney stones have kicked my ass this month. I've been dealing with those. So yeah. What else is new with Chris and me? Let me think. Chris is my husband. He's part of Raven's Eye Paranormal. It's us two together, but we also are official members of PTFX, Paranormal Task Force X, Katie Stafford and Katie Stafford's team. It's an amazing team. He is the mad scientist of paranormal equipment, makes the equipment for the stars you see on the paranormal shows. And so giving a shout out to him and his wife and the team tonight. I love my team dearly. Great group of people. We have a blast. I should have brought it. Next podcast, I will get my stuff out. I got some stuff that is Vatican pieces. I have 2 nun rosaries now. I have a rosary from a priest used in exorcism, and I have an urn of ashes as well as some bone and ash rings. That's my latest find. So I've added those to my collection, and I just bought a Ninja 500. I bought myself a crotch rocket. So that's new. Just bought it and brought it home, and I've gotten to ride it once because we keep having rain and wind. And I have to relearn to ride because I had gone from a Harley Crossbones to a trike, and trikes are nothing like bikes. I'm sorry for anybody who rides a trike, but it's not like riding, especially when it's, like mine. It's a Can-Am, and that's not like riding a motorcycle. So now I'm relearning to ride a motorcycle. That's what's new in my world. What's new in yours? What's up with you, Brandon? Tell me what's going on. Everybody having a good evening? Everybody having a good evening. I hope you are. We've got wind coming. We got some storms coming. Don't plant your flowers until after Mother's Day. This is Missouri. You're going to regret it because we still got some cold shit coming. You don't want cold shit. I'm trying to think of what else to fill time with. Somebody give me a topic. Somebody give me a shout out. Give me a shout out. I like the gray area comment. That was good. Sir Classic must have left. They commented too much luck. Next week's guest, I want to give a shout out to Nick. Whoa, shoot. Ha ha ha. Sorry. That was not copyrighted music, and that was an accident. Draven Damascus is going to be on my podcast. we're trying to set this up. Draven is, let me go to his profile. Is super cool. Draven is a Hecate worker and necromancer. He does a lot of really, really beautiful work. His altar setups are just, I don't know, perfect, touching, heart-inspired, really cool. Makes his own candles, does spiritual work for charge as I do. He's just super, super cool. And I was trying to get on to his profile picture. Trying to, I'm not good at this stuff. This is Draven Damascus. I don't know, my camera's not. But he has a lot of good videos if you're interested in looking at his work. Is definitely a witch, goes into cemeteries and charges and recharges, does work with the dead. And we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Hecate and Haas of Hecate. And there's going to be some controversy over that because we have information to share about that. And also we're going to talk about mixture of practices and how he practices. Both of us believe that you don't mix practices. I personally am initiated in Voodoo and Santeria and Ifa, which they're one of those is an African traditional religion, an ATR. And you don't mix, Hecate with that. You don't mix Voodoo and Hecate. There's a lot of things you don't mix. You keep them separate. Your practices separate, just like you keep your goddesses and gods separately. So we're going to do some discussion about that. That's going to be interesting. And really, I think that's what's coming up. The investigation again in Potosi on the 18th. Shout out again to Paranormal Task Force X and all the cool tickets that we have going up on the board now. You can check out the PTFX calendar for that. Supernatural Inc. has a lot of podcasters and a lot of really cool things going on. And so, whether you're into paranormal or geek equipment or just discussion of different topics, ITC devices, and using different ITC devices, your electronic paranormal, your spirit boxes, your electronic spirit boxes. There's a lot of cool things on like that too. And then KD has a channel where he does his mad scientist equipment and the stuff that he's developing and making, and he uses them. And that's always cool too. So there's something for everybody. And again, sorry that I have not been on for a couple months, but I've been running reruns. There's a lot that's been going on in my world with paranormal and doctor's visits and procedures and things like that. But we are back on board, scheduled. We will be at 7 p.m. on Sunday evenings. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you. It is so great to be back on and to have this number of people. I am so grateful, so appreciative, and it's been lovely. And with that, I'm going to tell you all good night. And I love you, and I will see you all next week, unless anyone has any last comments. And I will wait a second to see if anyone has any last comments, because I'm always open to those. Get my glasses off so I can see since I sat forward. It's kind of one of those things where you're going back and forth between the screen again. And damn, they just don't have something for in between. You need like a magnifying glass for in between. No comments are coming in. I love y'all. Have a great night. Thank you for joining me. It's always the Spiritual Speakeasy, where the bar is always open and the spirits are always served. So glad you're back. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. Good night.